Hello, friends. I'm Randy Smith, the co-founder of CUInsight.com and the host of the CUInsight Experience podcast. And today I am joined by Jill Nowacki, the founder and president and CEO of Humanidei. Jill, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
A lot has changed since you were on the podcast just a few short weeks ago. I know you've been keeping busy, much like all of us, trying to find new ways to do this experience we now call work and life. And, I think most out there are in the same boat. Humanidei is a human capital firm, so I'm sure people are really going to be interested in what you have to share with us today. So let's just jump into the questions. 3 questions with Jill Nowacki. Ready?
Ready, Randy. Thank you.
All right, here we go. Like I just mentioned, we're all living through quite the shared experience currently. What are you and your team at Humanidei doing to help credit unions and their members during this crisis?
Right. So Humanidei was founded because I believe that the humans who lead credit unions are and will continue to be our industry's biggest differentiator. And so as we move into this world that we're in right now, we're digging deeper into that side. And how can we help credit unions understand how to be inclusive of their leaders that they have? How can we help credit unions create, in this changing environment, make sure that everyone's being brought in and seen and heard and understood and listened to with these really sort of discombobulated lives that we have right now? How can we give grace to those lives and those changes in lives and help create and lead in a way that people are being put first and are feeling cared for as humans first and employees second, maybe. And so a lot of the work we're doing is in coaching on communication, coaching on, how to, when you're on a Zoom call, how do you make it something that works? How do you understand and navigate this remote workforce for people who have never worked in a remote environment before? And then from a technical side too, we're able to offer some support with policies that may be into place. And just to say, would you, have you looked at what your work from home policy says and make sure that it doesn't contradict what's actually being practiced right now? Because as much as that may seem like, oh, well, no big deal, these are unprecedented times, people need that affirmation of understanding that can come from those areas. And then we also are working with HR teams as much as possible too. They're stretched so thin right now. And so any place we can come in and support, whether that's in hiring or that's in policies or that's in just finding ways to give communication and tips for their team, we're here for them in that area too.
Well, that's fantastic. Thinking ahead, how do you think this is going to affect credit unions and the way that we all do business in the long run?
I think that we are at a critical juncture for the way we employ people right now. And when I set out to start Humanidei, it was because I believed that credit unions needed to change the way we were attracting, developing, and retaining talent. We needed to build more inclusive workplaces to include more great talent that's out there in the world. And one of the elements that I used to say until, 3 weeks ago was we're in the lowest unemployment environment in ever, really competitive war for talent right now. And we need to figure out ways to make our workplaces, I know credit unions will never go remote, but we need to find workplaces that appeal to people. And then almost overnight, all of those things changed, right? We are not in the lowest unemployment environment we've ever been in. We do know that people can do their jobs from home and that we do need to find different ways to serve members. And, I don't think you put that remote work toothpaste back in the tube after all this. I think it's something that we've seen things be different. And so I think when we look back at this, we'll see this point where we may have been moving toward incremental change in workplaces that then becomes just straight disruptive, massive change that will feel to us like it happened all at once. Because I think we're going to change. And I think the skill sets we're going to look for in employees is going to change too. I think maybe being an agile executive was kind of nice to have before all of this. And I think now as people look for new leaders, agile leadership is going to be incredibly important. People who can lead in different environments, who can lead with different styles, who can flex and adapt and come up with great solutions and strategies, even when everything around you seems to be, bouncing around differently. And so I think that'll change too.
So how about you personally? What's been keeping you sane through these trying times? Any hacks or habits that you've picked up over the last month that you'd like to share with everybody out there?
I have a really great human at home to empathize with through a lot of it. So that's been very nice. And it's it's a beautiful thing to recognize that you actually like the people you're quarantined with. And I had a strong suspicion that I had an affinity for you before this anyway. But it's been nice to be in a situation where it's like, oh, good, this actually works too. And I say that because. Because the reality of it is, man, there are a lot of days when I don't feel sane at all. And I'm one of those parents, as you know, that got the, I'm full-time job and I'm someone who's super passionate about what I do. I love to work. I love the work I do. And now I'm also a homeschool teacher. And there is a damn good reason that I did not go into teaching, and particularly third grade teaching. So that became an additional burden that I'm carrying, like so many parents out there are carrying right now. And what I found is that I spend a lot of my day feeling like I am shifting from urgent task to urgent task to urgent task. And it's not like when I'm doing my regular job and I might move from one urgent executive search to one urgent executive coaching session, but my whole brain is sort of engaged in human capital. It's like my brain is shifting from an urgent executive search session to a figure out how to get my kiddo on a Zoom call. And I think the word I keep using is discombobulating, because that kind of gear shift, that immediately has been difficult. And so what I've been trying to use is those moments where I can shift into neutral for just a minute between them. And going for walks has been really helpful in that. I put my Fitbit on for the first time in several years so that I can actually make sure I've got some little goals in there about taking walks midday and taking that moment to step out of whatever task I'm doing before I move into the next task, and then doing my best to stay fully present in the task I'm in while I'm in them, instead of that pull into all those other urgent things. So definitely the little breaks for walks in the middle of the day, and taking that moment to shift into neutral between all this high speed work has been helpful for sure.
Our dog is not happy about all the walks. It's just too many. He's an old man. So
I saw Holly Fearing had a picture up the other day that said the dogs will never return to the new normal of less than 7 walks a day, or the old normal of that. And I'm thinking, I think G might welcome it.
Yeah, I think he would. So the bonus question for you. Any thoughts that you'd like to share, or any asks of the viewers this time?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We've got viewers, not listeners. I think that it's the same message that I've been using in a lot of conversations I've had, which is just keep extending grace to yourself, grace to your employees, your coworkers. We are all navigating this the best we possibly can, and it's there's absolutely no guidebook for how to do the work we're doing. I can't, between the two of us, we probably get asked dozens of times a week about how does one do remote work? And I can't reiterate enough that what I'm doing now is not the same remote work I was doing 6 weeks ago. It's a whole different world. And so hold tight to that grace, extend it to yourself and to others, and just keep doing your best.
As I always say, I think that is the perfect way to wrap this up. Thank you again, Jill, for taking the time today. We will link to everything you and Humanidei have going on in the post that accompanies the video. And I can't wait till we can move freely outside of our house and go experience other things in this beautiful world. So stay healthy, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, Randy. You too.